Hello everyone, this is Rodrigo Bonzer Lopez and welcome to the tutorial series that I'm making for those individuals who are interested to become web developers. So for this video session, I just want to give an overview of what are the topics that we will be discussing in the succeeding lessons. So if you're an experienced web developer, I really suggest that you don't waste your time watching this video anymore because this will be totally meant for those who are new to web development. However, I would really like to request, if ever you decide to watch the video series, I would like to request some assistance in giving comments, suggestions that you can provide to those who are interested in becoming web developers. I'm highly open to suggestions. Okay, if you think there's some things that I'm doing here that is wrong, I'm open to suggestions. So our main goal here will be to help those people who are interested to become web developers those people who will be practicing the best practices that are being taught in the web. So just to give you an overview of the lessons that we will be having, first things first, the topics will include HTML5, the recent version, or let's say the current highly recommended version of HTML that we will be using, that is being used in the web. So we will focus on the semantic structure, on how to create web pages through the use of HTML5. And of course, we have to differentiate HTML5 from the semantic structure from the layout, wherein we will be using CSS3. Perhaps I'll be tackling some topics with regards to that, but just to give you a heads up, again, I will focus on the best practices for those who have interest in becoming a web developer, and I will not be focusing too much on aesthetic design. So if you're expecting that in this video series you will learn how to create astonishing, dynamically working websites, this will not be the video tutorial series for you. Okay, I will be thinking that this is a video tutorial series that you want to watch because you want to become a web developer. We will be on the perspective of a web developer. Okay, so again, but we will also still tackle the things like JavaScript, which is more on the dynamic behavior, because I want to make sure that you understand the difference between semantic structure, which will be focused on HTML5, layout and design, which will be focused on CSS3, and of course dynamic behavior, which will be focused with JavaScript. Okay, we'll look into those topics in the succeeding lessons. So for those who are new to web development, these are I would like to give you some tips that I used so that I myself was able to learn some of the necessary tools, or let's say necessary practices that are needed in web development. For me, I believe I always tell my students that it's very important that if you're going to learn programming, any form of programming, you should be able to understand English. Okay, and I just want to really emphasize this because I have students who are Filipinos, and what I always tell them, programming is similar to you learning a new language. And basically in programming, I haven't seen any books that are written in another language. So this is actually one of the biggest challenge for us who are not native speakers of the English language, because most programming languages are actually written in English. There's just a little bit of differences, of course, depending on the definition of a certain word. So technically, one of the things that I would like to give you a heads up would be, if you are not a native speaker of English, it's really important that you improve in using that language. Understand what are the contents, definitions properly, and differentiate what are the definitions that are being used by computer programming languages from the English language itself. Okay, because programming is like you talking to the computer. The only difference between you learning English and you using the language is that in English, when you're talking to a person, the person is trying to comprehend what you're talking about, even though you're making slight mistakes with your grammar. Okay? However, if you're learning a programming language, remember, computers will not understand you. That's why I really do agree with Sir Bob Tabor when he said that in his video tutorials, he said that it's really important that you get to be a perfectionist if you're going to become a programming language language expert, because it's better to not commit a mistake in the beginning, because it will really be difficult to look for bugs and other issues that you have to do with when it comes to your codes. Okay, so again, and another thing to remember, guys, when it comes to computer language or computer programming language, it's also similar to learning the English language, because in a sense, you are learning statements. You are learning how to properly construct your sentences, similar with the programming language. Okay, the programming language that you're trying to learn. You're learning how to speak to the computer through learning the proper statements, how you correctly make use of the syntax that is standardly used in web development or other programming languages. Okay, so some other tips that I would like to focus on, guys, will be, of course, for you to be a good researcher. If you haven't watched my lessons here in my free WordPress site here, which is about wherein I talked about tips when it comes to learning, you having a positive learning attitude, please do watch this video here, because I will be discussing there some tips that I normally use for becoming a better learner. So one of the things that I discussed there was the importance of being a researcher, a practitioner, and a propagator. Okay, why researcher? This is not going to be a complete reference for all of the contents of HTML5. That's a heads up for you guys. So I really do advise that you read a lot, look for different resources. So perhaps I'm going to give you some tips or some references that I used or I normally use for doing my research with regards to certain designs, or let's say codes that I want to implement into my website. So that's one of my best tip for you. Do a lot of research, and I'm going to give you some references in some of the succeeding lessons. And another thing will be practice. Become an active learner. Make sure that you really do follow through with regards to the things that I'm doing. So I will need you to be on the same boat with me, meaning develop muscle memory by really typing the code that I'm typing in my computer. Okay, and do not cheat yourself. You have the power to stop, rewind, and then review the lessons that we are talking about. If you do not understand something, review it again and again. Go back to the first level. Do your research. Okay? Practice, and then lastly, propagate. Why? Why am I encouraging you to try and practice explaining the things that I'm going to be discussing to you in our succeeding lessons? Because for me, I believe, again, this is part of my lessons when it comes to learning, I believe that a person would be able to say that he understood a lesson once you are already able to talk about it with the use of your own words by means of paraphrasing. I actually discussed that to my learning tips, so I do suggest you watch that. So guys, that will be all for this video. I will be preparing some other tips for the succeeding lessons. I'm suggesting that you do what I've just said for this in this lesson. So again, I'm looking forward to being able to work with you. So thank you very much for watching this video. So see you in the next lessons.